What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Dr. Splash, and per heavy request. I was getting requests to talk about this before Death Battle's video came out, but Ghost Rider vs. Spawn Death Battle just dropped. I watched it, and there's several points I wrote down between things I agree with, things I disagree with that need to be debunked. But if you came here for like a crazy hate video or me freaking out spazzing, pick the wrong one. But if you're here to enjoy a debunk and to hear my thoughts on the battle and my thoughts on what they said, make sure to leave a like and subscribe and comment as well. That's the best way to help the channel. And join the Yancey Street Gang. We have a lot of fun on this channel. Now, getting straight into it. I will go ahead and say this. You can agree with someone's outcome and disagree with how they arrived at that conclusion. For example, you can say 2 plus 2 equals 4. Say, dope, how'd you arrive at that? Instead of saying simple addition, you say, well, the cow crows at midnight, so obviously it's 4. You're like, what the hell does that mean? So obviously, outcome can be correct, or you can agree with it or understand it, but the reasoning behind it you can disagree with, and that's kind of where I find myself with Death Battle a lot of times. For one, the spawn scaling is wrong. I hold the position. Maybe I think, you know what? Matter of fact, my boy White Fang, he sponsored a video a while ago. I gotta get it done. I'm just gonna do a major spawn scaling video, going over everything he has, by the issue, all that, because he's a lot stronger than I think almost any YouTuber gives him credit for. I think I'm one of the few that genuinely has him in that outer to high outer range. Of course, Death Battle doesn't get into that. They don't even really mention him being even multiversal in scale. They kind of keep him at universe to universe plus, which obviously would be very faulty given even layers of hell, which he has impacted and he's defeated beings that can destroy it. They have meta conceptual layers within them, which is insane. They're outside of dimensions and logic. It's absurd. So he has insane scaling through the overlap and more. Obviously, that's surpassed by beings like God and Satan. So the scaling they gave him at that like uni plus level is just outright wrong. Even though they had him win, you can say they were wrong with how they scaled Spawn. Like it's just blatant downplay. This will fortunately lead to a very good video from me with the Spawn full scaling, so I can't be too mad at it. And again, the production's amazing on the Death Battle video. I enjoyed watching the battle. And it's also interesting because it's a situation where they both get hooked by their own logic, but they also follow through with their own logic. So I don't know how to feel about that. And that'll make more sense to you as I continue going through my points. But then we get to Ghost Rider, right? And I think their Ghost Rider scaling was wrong. They kept saying Zarathos, Zarathos, Zarathos. Oh, he can scale to Mephisto. Well, here's the problem. This video just dropped, right? And you're paying researchers, they should be reading, Johnny Blaze, including current era. Current Johnny Blaze blatantly beat the shit out of Mephisto. Like, he was stronger than Mephisto. He just wasn't smart as the King of Hell, so he didn't know how to properly run it and navigate it in terms of a war with Lilith. So he gave the throne back to Mephisto. But Blaze and Zarathos, like that scaling, it's kind of old, but even Blaze, and I mean him not turning into Zarathos, he was just riding around as Blaze, King of Hell. He was equal to and above Mephisto, and he ragdolled current Doctor Strange, who's an absolute monster. Like, that's the same Strange who, if you recall from Hickman's run, like he thrashed the essentially the pseudo Justice League. Like this is a Doctor Strange who, when it's time to get the job done, he's stupid broken. And he didn't really have much for that King of Hell Johnny Blaze. So to put him at multiversal, disagree. I have both these characters at outer to high outer. So I personally am of the opinion that Death Battle on the scaling side downplayed both of them. I don't know if it's intentional or just they don't know how to scale up that high or use higher degrees of scaling. But I disagreed actually with both scaling chains used for Ghost Rider and Spawn. Because ultimately both are stronger than what they put them at. And, even if I agree with the outcome or whatever, I got to adjust both those points in terms of the actual AP or power scaling for Spawn and Ghost Rider. Next, speed. Speed wasn't really mentioned, wasn't really factored in, I felt like, in the end, which was kind of weird. I'm personally of the opinion they didn't do this because naturally, if Ghost Rider scales these beings at, and of course, I need to emphasize I'm using their logic. They said Ghost Rider is someone who fights beings that can scale across multiverses, destroy multiverses, whatever. If Spawn's doing that, and they say it's uni plus beings that can cross that, destroy that, all that. Naturally, the one crossing multiverses, fighting someone that can destroy multiverses, cross entire multiverses with their power, it'd be faster. So maybe they didn't use that because they felt like if they piled on speed, because obviously they'd have to lean towards Ghost Rider. With the way they framed both cosmologies, Ghost Rider clearly and blatantly would have bigger cosmology by their logic. And they said he went to higher extents in the cosmology, which is also a speed thing. Like, that's natural. So for that to be the case, I kind of feel like they left it out because that would have been another advantage they have to give the Ghost Rider, and they said Spawn one. Speed wasn't really factored in. That was weird. Both characters, if you were to ask me, have plenty of instances of higher tier scaling metas. So it would have been interesting to see them try to work that out, how they would try to say who's faster. But speed really wasn't factored in, which was something kind of noteworthy for me. Another point I have, and it kind of points out their logic, kind of cooks them. If Ghost Rider blatantly outscales Spawn, it should just be a GG. Similar power sets, yes, Spawn absolutely has more versatility, but in terms of the finishing methods and the power, put one down. If he blatantly outscales to the tunes that they're talking about, Multiverse Plus compared to like Uni Plus, that should just be a GG. Like, to say, oh, well, Spawn's resisted stuff, but you've already conceded Spawn hasn't resisted stuff to the magnitude of the AP of Multi Plus or whatever. He should just get melted by their own logic. Like, Ghost Rider should have beat the shit out of Spawn just off the power gap in this battle. Because if you were to argue, oh, well, Spawn's showing resistances. Well, Ghost Rider put those Death Battle put those resistances at a very low level. So for them to be at a way lower level than what Ghost Rider's output is, that shouldn't matter. That's a no limits fallacy. That's like saying, hey, I took a punch from a 4-year-old, therefore I could take a punch from Prime Mike Tyson. It's like, well, slow down there, cowboy. So by their own logic, I feel like the picture could easily be painted that Ghost Rider should just kind of nuke his shit, just run through him with the power gap. I do want to say this: the biggest thing I agreed on, um, and it's something I think people should give more credit for. But the Arsenal is a big deal. Spawn does have a crazy arsenal. They did note some things like his different spirits that can kind of help him with the sin and torture, and that being used against him. Like, they had good notable usage of the arsenal gap, which I brought up in my old Ghost Rider Spawn video. I do think that matters because he's going to be throwing a bunch of weird shit at Ghost Rider, but it also matters to me because the scaling is similar, if not in favor of Spawn. But they said Spawn was massively inferior in scaling. So again, fuck if fuck if I know how that arsenal is going to really help that much, unless it's like a nuclear option against Ghost Rider and his arsenal, any of those things. But it was a little bit like, it was hard to get over the AP gap that they painted between Ghost Rider and Spawn. It really was. Like, I think it's bigger than they realized with how they presented it. And so it makes you question if the arsenals would even matter. But I do agree, absolutely, Spawn has a superior arsenal. I just think they're kind of wrong on win conditions by their own logic. Again, um, they said Spawn didn't scale nearly as high, but he just wins because he's versatile and he's got that dog in him. Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that, especially if you and I say I don't agree with that by their own logic of his AP being massively superior. And even though they didn't touch on it, it should be speed by their own scaling logic So it's rough. And remember, they had Lobo losing the Ghost Rider, but now they have Spawn. Uh, I guess scaling above Lobo. It's weird. Like, I don't know how they scale, to be honest, because they arrived at multi plus for Johnny Blaze, but they also said his stronger version Zerathos scales to Mephisto when base Johnny recently like beat Mephisto. So I don't know. Fuck if I know. We ball, right? But regardless, I don't hate Death Battle. One of the pioneers. I'm glad they're back and they've returned to do battles. With this one, I did say about a year ago, I think Spawn would take it, like his strongest forms. But I scale completely different than Death Battle. So it's like a completely different reasoning for me and how I arrive at it and whatnot. So if you want to see me revisit this battle, talking about modern versions of both, because Ghost Rider does have more modern appearances as well, which they didn't do a good job of incorporating. I'm definitely down to do that, especially if you want to sponsor the video, hit me up in the comments. But like I said, like, subscribe, comment, all that. Nothing but love towards Death Battle. Go like their video too. I want everyone to do well and eat and prosper. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this debunk. I talked about what my biggest issues were with their video and tried to keep it civil, so I hope you enjoy it. But yeah, anyways, remember, it's Yancey Street, bitches.